And hello YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of The Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host Jonathan. Once again bringing you my thoughts and movie review for the brand new Warner Brothers and DC film Wonder Woman 1984, starring Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, and Kristen Wiig, and Pedro Pascal. Now I hope everybody had a happy holiday, Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates it, and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa to everybody as well. Happy holidays. Hope you guys are having fun, having safe times. So, let's talk about Wonder Woman. Because honestly, I was surprised that everybody was allowed to see this movie if you have HBO Max. And also can go to the movie theaters if it's safe. So, we all knew that was going to happen. We all knew Wonder Woman was finally going to come out and be the start of this whole 2021 HBO Max movie release for Warner Brothers. All their slate for next year coming to HBO Max on the same day as movie theaters. Would it hurt? Would it hurt the box office? Probably. Will it be successful? Could be, but we just have to wait to see how these movies turn out once they come out. So, Wonder Woman 1984. We've been waiting a long time for this. The first one came out in 2017, I believe. 17, yeah. And I love that first Wonder Woman movie. Wonder Woman to me is my second favorite female character behind Supergirl. So I always wanted to see her on the big screen. And Gal Gadot playing her is amazing. We first got to see her in Batman v Superman. And I really enjoyed, seeing her play that character. Being strong, sexy, beautiful, all that good stuff. So now we get the sequel. And no spoilers, don't worry about it. Unless I will be doing spoilers for the first Wonder Woman, so if you haven't seen the first Wonder Woman, spoilers. Okay, so at this point now we have Wonder Woman. She's just starting to get used to being in the new world. Cause I remember in the first one, when she first meets Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, she was new to the world. She had no idea what man's world was. Now she's in this world, and now it's the 1980s. She's helping out people, obviously in secret, of course. And, a lot of people don't know who she is. And then she ends up meeting a character named Barbara. They become fast friends. And then, things start to happen when Pedro Pascal's character comes around, Maxwell Lord, and he starts causing trouble. How he causes trouble, I don't want to say what it is because it's kind of a spoiler. But let me just say that he gets his hands on something that kind of makes something that people want happen, and then chaos begins. So I'll leave it at that. So you have to watch the movie to see what I'm really talking about, because it's really hard to describe without spoiling the movie. So let's talk about the big fish in the trailers. Steve Trevor is back. How is he back? I can't really tell you how he's back. But he is back. And honestly, the way he comes back, I thought it would be different. But, I liked it and I didn't like it. Like, when he first appears in the movie, you're like, oh, that's the way he comes back? Huh. But as the movie comes along, you just forget how he comes back. And you just embrace it. It's like, okay, he's back now. All right, fine. It was kind of corny how they brought him back, but it was just like, okay, fine. But then it kind of brushes off a little bit, and then you move on to the story of the movie, and then they both team up to try to take out Maxwell Lord. And then we have Kristen Wiig. We all knew Kristen Wiig was in this movie gonna play Cheetah. She's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. I'm sorry, I just spoiled the trailer for you, but she's in the trailer. She becomes Cheetah at the end. How did she become Cheetah? Well, it goes back to Pedro Pascal's character as well, all connected. So once you watch the film, you'll understand how she becomes who she is. When you first meet Kristen Wiig's character, she's kind of like, how can I put it? Okay, if you guys remember Amazing Spider-Man 2, a lot of people try to forget about that movie. But if you remember what happened with Jamie Foxx's character, he was a nerd. Nobody really paid mind to him. He was brilliant, but nobody really paid mind to him. And he was like obsessed with Spider-Man. Kind of like that, but in the opposite, where Kristen Wiig was, she's a scientist in this movie, so that's not much of a spoiler. Or I think archaeologist, one of those things. Anyway, she's kind of there, but nobody really noticed her. And she doesn't, get recognized. She's very attractive, yeah, but nobody really like pays mind to her. Like if you put her in a room next to Diana Prince, everybody would be like, "Oh my God, Diana, you're like so gorgeous," and this and that. And then you just have Chris. Oh, you look nice too. Yeah, kind of like got that situation. So something happens to her that helps her transform into Cheetah at the end. And honestly, I really thought Kristen Wiig did a good job in this movie as Barbara slash Cheetah. I think she did a really good job. Obviously, Cheetah is near the end of the film, but it is worth watching. So I enjoyed that stuff. And that was at the trailer, so that's not much of a spoiler either. So, except for the trailer. Anyway, but the rest of this film, how did I thought about the rest of the film? I've seen this movie once so far. Excuse me. I'm gonna watch it again. And so far, it's alright. It's not as good or better than the first one. Now, the first one came out, we all knew, we were like waiting to see Wonder Woman because we never had Wonder Woman in the big screen. Seeing her in the second one, it's like, okay, she's there. We wanted to see her kick butt. I think for me, the problem was the fact that I think the 80s was the problem. I don't know why, but to me, watching, I felt like the 80s kind of threw it off a little bit, Like, don't get me wrong, I like when movies go back on the 80s, it kind of does. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You get that kind of situation, if you roll the dice. But for me, I don't know, it just, I feel like the tone, even though it was in the 80s, it didn't feel like it was a Wonder Woman film. There were some moments in the movie I'm like, yikes, okay. And I feel like the CG in this movie, or green screen, or whatever it was a little bit too much. There were some moments where you're like, really? Come on. Really? And you can't blame what happened in 2020 for the CGI here, because honestly, this movie was done way before 2020 even happened, so you gotta blame their choices of how they handle the CG. Yeah, they could have gone back and fixed it and delayed it a little bit more, but to me, there were some shots in here I was like, okay, sure. You want to go with that? Fine. But then there are actually shots in the movie that are like beautiful in here. There was only a couple scenes in here that I did not like the shots, because you can tell how CG it was. But it was only a couple of them, but it wasn't too much. But there were a lot of other shots that were really, really beautiful to see, and I enjoyed it. Just the story to me didn't, like, the setting bothered me. Like if this movie took place during, like, maybe after Justice League, then I would be like, okay, great story. To me, the 80s didn't fit. It just didn't fit for me. I think that was my main problem. My main problem of this film was the fact that it was in the 80s. Now, like I said, if this was just Wonder Woman and it took place after Justice League and the whole team is back together, but they're all doing their own solo thing, then I would have been like, okay, but it was in the 80s, and it was just, yeah, the 80s is great, sure, no problem. They have great stuff in the 80s, obviously, but when you don't execute it right, it's like, why bother? But what can you do? But like I said, if it was during modern day Wonder Woman after Justice League, it would have been perfect. The story, the tone of the film would have been great. It would have made more sense to do it in, the modern day after Justice League kind of situation. Even after the Snyder Cut version. But yeah, to me, like I said, this movie was fun. I do wish there was more action, though. There were some moments where I'm like, where's the action? I want to see Wonder Woman kick butt in here. And she does, but, not as like how the first one was. Or like we see her in cartoons or in the animated movies. It's like you see her fight and it's cool, and then it just cuts to them talking. And it's just like, okay, come on. I want to see Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman, Come on, let's get to the good stuff. And then it's just like, oh, that's a cool action. Oh, that's awesome. And then it's over. Then when you get to the Cheetah stuff, you're like, all right, Cheetah, it's going to happen. It's going to be a great fight. And then it happens. And it was a good fight. I liked the fight, but I wanted more. That was my thing. I kind of wanted more to see what they could have done with the film. But overall, I still had fun with the film. The plot was fun. I liked the plot of the film, but it's hard to talk about it without spoiling the movie. And the whole Steve Trevor thing coming back, kind of a bummer in the beginning of it, but when he does come back, when you do see him come back, it's like, yeah, Chris Pine's back as Steve Trevor. That's awesome. And you know, it was just for me the biggest problem, like I said before, is just the tone, the setting. Well, sorry, not the tone, the setting of the film. It should not have been in the '80s, and that's just my opinion. You might have to feel differently, but for me, it should have never fit in the '80s. It should have been like right after Justice League. I think it would have, the execution would have been way better. But yeah. Now we just have this movie. Now I wonder what's gonna happen with Wonder Woman #3. We are gonna get Wonder Woman 3 at some point, hopefully in the modern day, because we need to see Wonder Woman in modern day and how she's gonna deal with the fact that she's still there. She's working with gods basically, like Superman, Aquaman, Flash, Batman. So how she's gonna handle situations by herself, even though she has a team behind her. Now, yeah, sure, she had success here in this movie without any help except Steve Trevor. But moving down to the modern day, we all know what happens to Steve Trevor in the modern day. Um, what she's gonna do. So we have to wait and see what happens with that. Like I said before, I really liked the cheetah. I thought the design was fine. I enjoyed what she looked like. She was great. I hope we get to see her come back. Pedro Pascal, I liked his character. He was a little goofy in the beginning of the movie, but he comes around when he becomes full on villain. But yeah, I still found this movie fun. And it's not my favorite of the DC films of right now. I think Birds of Prey beats it by a lot, in my opinion. But I still had fun with it. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about it. And are you guys planning on seeing it in the movie theaters? And if you do, wear a mask. Or are you guys going to stay home and watch on HBO Max? Are you going to be a new subscriber? Do you already have HBO Max? Are you just going to press play and watch it if you have a 4K TV? I think if you have a 4K TV, you get the 4K version of the movie. But I'm not sure how that works. Anyway, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about it. And honestly, what do you guys expect to see what Wonder Woman do in the third film? I know it's a little early for the third film, talking about the third one, but we are eventually gonna get a third one. Patty Jenkins already confirmed that she's making a third one sometime down the road. But yeah. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Stay tuned for more. Thank you very much. Have a good day.